Hey everybody. I want to talk a little bit about the learning process that we went through in terms of implementing the multi-genre research project. We decided to go with the multi-genre research project first and foremost because we knew students were already going to be taking the EOC sort of formal final that would look a little bit more like a traditional final. And so we wanted to try to do something that didn't look like what they were getting ready to already take during their finals in that last week of school. And so we started with the multi-genre research project from the 180 Days book because we've spent some time talking about the 180 Days book throughout the year. We thought it might be a good culminating project because it really requires the students to take a look at all of the different writing formats that they've discussed throughout the year. Argument writing, information analysis, narrative writing. And so we thought it might be a really good project to do from that perspective. In the beginning, it was really tricky to tease out the standards that we thought might be applied to the project. The book tells you how to do a lot of the different tasks. It doesn't necessarily tell you what standards, and so we had to spend some time thinking about which standards that we wanted to cover. Part of that problem also is that when you really start to sit down and look at the standards that you're asking the students to complete, a lot of times we have to remember that those standards may be asking the students to demonstrate several different tasks. So for instance, one of the skills that we wanted to evaluate was speaking and listening standard number 2, which asks students to integrate a variety of sources from a number of different types of media and ask them to evaluate the credibility and accuracy of the standard. Now to do that, it's basically asking the students to do 3 tasks. It's basically asking them to integrate the sources into their material and understand how to do that. And it's asking them to evaluate both the accuracy and the credibility. And so we had to decide whether or not we wanted those all in one standard on our rubric or we wanted to break those out into individual things and make it easier for students to recognize what those tasks were. Another one of the big problems with doing this multi-genre research project is just simply time. We didn't get a chance to really start implementing the idea until late in the year. And the way it's written in the book suggests that students need about 5 weeks of time to complete the project. That's to introduce new types of genre material, as well as give them time to do their first drafts, edit those drafts, produce their final product, everything like that. And so by the time we got to it, many of us already had obligations for other projects and other books that we might have been doing. Next year, we think that maybe the multi-genre research project, if we continue to do that next year, makes a great way to backwards plan the rest of the year's curriculum, because we know what we want that project to look like. Instead of cramming down their throats a bunch of little mini lessons at the end of the year in that 5-week time period, that we can introduce those new tools. Things like do a unit that's got a podcast, or their final project for that unit is to do a podcast, or maybe to create a short film, or to write a narrative and do them with scenes perhaps and play with the idea of narrative. So there's lots more that I'm sure Amy and everyone else will be talking about going forward, but those are a few of the things we wanted to talk about in terms of implementing and creating a new unit for our end of the year culminating project. Thanks, I'll see you guys next week.